Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? Geoff Mosher and Adam Caplan here for another edition of Inside the Birds as we're about 2 weeks into training camp. So what we're going to do is call this our mid-camp progress report. We have a lot of updates on a lot of players, and we're going to get this statement out right from the get-go. These are going to be observations, not from Adam and I. We've been to practices, but we hit up the sources this week. We want to tell you who's doing well, who could be doing better, what's the team thinking based on sourcing. So what we're going to say today in this podcast, what we're going to do is deliver the sourcing straight to you, and we'll put a table on what Adam and I have saw. Because as we say all the time, Adam, you would co-sign with this. Sure, we think that we're pretty good. We think that our eyes don't deceive us. But when you see stuff in real time, it's great to observe that. But it's really what the tape shows you afterwards, where you see everything. We don't have advantage. We're not privy to the tape. So our sources are, and they'll give you a way better idea and picture of what's going on than just our four set of eyes trying to do the same. So everything we've got today is from sources, and we'll probably do this again maybe a week from now, and as we do anyway, at the end of camp, certainly. But we thought now would be a good time, Adam, right? Because the Eagles just had their practice at the link on
last night,
Monday night, right? Yeah. And it was 30,000 people, man. Awesome job, Eagles fans. That's amazing. Amazing turnout. Even the new players were impressed. AJ Brown couldn't believe his eyes. He tweeted about how amazing it was. But if you think about it, Adam, they're going to be off Monday. Then they've got two practices, Tuesday, Wednesday, but then off Thursday because it's the day before a game. Friday's your preseason game. Saturday's a day off. So there's not a whole lot of practice between now and this time next week. So now is a good time to really summarize what we've seen from the first half of camp.
Yes. So they're off today. They had the practice Sunday night. Right. So yeah, it would be tough other than having a walkthrough on Monday. That's all you could really do. So after you practice the night before. So yeah, so they're off today. And the big disappointment is all of the injuries. So they finished 2 weeks. This is their first full week that they just had. And the first 3 days, it was very light with injuries. And all of a sudden, man, they're down to their fourth left tackle. Mm-hmm. They're still down a bunch of tight ends. They now have corners who are hurt, back-end corners who are trying to fight for a spot. A couple guys come back to practice. Mac McCain was able to return, but limited, and he's fighting for a roster spot. Mm-hmm. And the concussions, this is what, 2 tackles and Boston Scott now have concussions, so they're piling up.
So I guess the oddity is that not only have they changed up a lot of what they do from OTAs to training camp to avoid injuries, with shorter practices, lighter practices, but they also have been wearing these protective helmets for the whole league is doing it. They're wearing these helmet shells that are supposed to limit concussions, and somehow 3 guys have concussions, and I think, Adam, 2 of them came in not a green practice even. So Nick Sirianni said he wasn't exactly sure when they happen, but it's kind of odd that they would have this many concussions when they're wearing the helmet shells. And of course, as you're saying, they've got more injuries than they would like to have, specifically at that one position, despite, all the measures that they've taken to reduce injuries and limit injuries.
Yeah.
Thankfully, none of them yet have been like the significant long-term 6 to 8 week type stuff.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I could tell you from, let me see, when was I there last Saturday? Jordan Mailata and Andre Dillard, who suffered concussions in the Tuesday practice. Not only were they watching, they were doing very light work, which means they're progressing for the protocol. So they should be back, within the next week. So we might as well get into the injuries here. So we talked about Boston Scott. We'll go offense first. Scott, concussion. So you're looking at least a week. Devontae Smith with the groin. They're going to take it easy with him. Mm-hmm. So he's missed, obviously, unfortunately, the last 4 days of practice. We mentioned Mailata and Dillard with concussions. LaRaven Clark showed up with a hamstring injury. I guess he got hurt in Saturday's practice.
Crazy.
Oy. Yeah, so that was bad. Greg Ward's still out with a toe. That's not good for him because he's fighting for a roster spot. And Grant Calcaterra, as we noted a couple weeks ago or a week ago, we're told it's left hamstring, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 week recovery. So I would think the best he can hope for is to be able to play in the last preseason game. That's probably pushing it.
Yeah.
So to me, this is the thing. He was doing really well, we're told. We saw it too when we were there. It's tough to, they're going to have a problem with this roster in that it's the first time in years that the roster is so much better than it has been. There's some guys they probably want to keep unless they do. You can't be a phantom injury. Guys got to be hurt. But at this point, I know that you can put them on short-term IR now, but I mean, you can. You have to wait until you set the 53.
Right.
But the Calcaterra injury throws a wrench into their tight end position because he's a guy that is different from the other guys that they have, and they've really had high hopes for him.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And speaking to some people, that if you were to ask, the Eagles, what are some of their concerns right now, just overall roster wise, tight end depth would be that, because after Dallas Goedert, Jack Stoll's a good player and all, but I mean, would he really be ready to be a number one tight end?
Yeah,
if you ever had to go to your short yardage, your goal line, your packages where you require 12 or 13 personnel, they really are struggling there. So it'll be interesting to see if they make any moves or who comes back in time to help them out there.
Here's the problem with tight end. So the Eagles are not the only team. There are other teams that I was just checking into this. Mm-hmm. There are other teams that are down 2 or 3 tight ends, and some guys have signed. There have been a ton of tight end tryouts around the league, and once again, not just Calcaterra, Jaden Graham, your former Falcon, who they brought in here because of all the tight end injuries, he's done for the season. He's on IR unless you reach an injury settlement for him because he got put on IR. And now Richard Rodgers did return from PUP. They did sign Jared Williams, who's a UDFA, was with them in OTA, so he's back. He's a deep backup left tackle, but he's going to have to get some reps because they don't have anybody else right now.
Right.
It's it's tough. Brett Toth is still in PUP, so they really got to figure this out.
Yeah, in fact, they had to start at left tackle Sunday night for the big link practice. Undrafted rookie free or an undrafted guy who's been with them for 2 years now, and I'm gonna, we know his Coyote is his first name, but you just alerted me to the correct pronunciation. It's not. I've been saying Awoshika for a long time, but it is not correct. It is
Oshika. How do I know? Right before we went on here Monday morning, there's a YouTube a day in the life of University of Buffalo players, his final year there, I guess. And it was great. So like the first 45 seconds he said it, I must have replayed it 10 times. Oshika, yeah. But he says it so quickly, you have to keep going back.
Right.
The thing with him is, he's short. He's more built for a guard or right tackle, though he's a left tackle in college. So they're just so down in numbers here that, and I know in a pinch, if they had to, Driscoll could do it. He could play left because he's done it before. But he's not ideally not a left tackle. He's a right or he's a right tackle or guard. And right now he's a backup right tackle. So man, I give them credit. Hurts has done well the last couple of days, we're told. And I also saw that, and we'll get into him in a minute, just kind of breaking down what we've heard and what we've seen. But the fact of the matter is, they got to get over this injury thing because, as you said, they got a preseason game coming up, and you need these backups to get some reps, and some were not able to play.
All right, let's go through just some other names. I think we've mentioned, you said Boston Scott, we said the concussion, Devontae Smith, the groin, Mailata, Dillard concussion, Clark, you mentioned, had the hamstring, Ward with the toe, Calcaterra, the ham knee, Javon Hargrave with a groin, the corners, Jimmy Moreland, Carrie Vincent, Moreland with the ankle, Vincent with the groin. Again, groin too. This has been another thing.
Soft tissue.
Yeah, soft tissue. And Jaquaski Tart, he was away for a personal reason, right?
Yes. So a couple things. We're told on Moreland it is a not a severe ankle injury. It's it didn't look good when he got hurt on Saturday, but we're told it's a slight ankle sprain. So we'll see how long he's down, and he's fighting for a roster spot. Yeah, he definitely is. I know they had high hopes for him to take that number 5 job, but he doesn't have it right now. I can tell you, even before the injury, he was definitely not the guy. Well, later in the show, we'll tell you who that guy is. Vincent, who you mentioned, who's a long shot.
Yep.
Tart needs these reps. He needs to learn the defense. So it's still in PUP or Brett Toth, who we talked about. Richard Rodgers is back. Tyree Jackson with the right ACL. He's doing really well, we're told. I watched him rehabbing. He looks good. We were told a month ago he looked good. He's raring to go, and we'll see. You got to go the 9 months on the ACL, and he's a young player that need reps. Certainly, but you got to be careful. So it's going to be interesting to see if they take him off PUP before the season starts, because if they do, then he can't go back on. So. They could use his reps now, man. They're really down at tight end.
Yeah, I mean, it is very. It was a bad sign. I mean, as soon as Rodgers came off, Jaden Graham went to
literally within minutes.
It was sort of crazy. Like you gain one tight end, you lose one, and now you're net neutral in a position where you were hoping to be just adding.
Well,
yeah.
I'm just gonna say right now, the only healthy tight ends they have. Arcega-Whiteside, by the way, he got dinged, I guess, in a practice, but he's good to go. Goddard, Stoll, Togiai, Rodgers, and Arcega-Whiteside. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they have enough to get through practice. But as we were talking about the last show, because you're going to have practice, you have practices, you have guys playing on different fields, because you might do 11 on 11 or 7 on 7 here. You might do individual here. You might do one-on-ones here. You want to have 6 or 7. 5 is pushing it, but they've been down in numbers the entire training camp.
Right.
So they've had around 5 all the time, and that's where they're at.
Yeah. All right. Certainly a spot they need to get better luck and health at. And then Mac McCain, I think we mentioned, had returned.
Yes,
limited. Practice. He was out. He was limited he is limited, but he was out with a knee. So a lot to talk about with those cornerbacks, those bottom roster cornerbacks who are all competing. Let's get into some of our intel first. I want to stop right here and let everybody hear a word from our friends at Blue Chew. Hey everyone, we all know that there's a lot in common between excelling at sports and excelling in the bedroom or wherever you and your partner like to be intimate. But if you don't have the confidence to be at your best, it can affect your performance, whether that's on the field or behind closed doors. That's why BlueChew.com is coming to the rescue. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in a chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets help men combat all forms of ED. And because Blue Chew is an online prescription service, you don't have to worry about those awkward trips to the doctor or uncomfortable pickup lines at your local pharmacy. Blue Chew ships right to your doorstep in a discreet package. So just go to BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive prescription within days. That's the best part. This whole thing is done online. It's convenience you can't beat. Blue Chew's licensed medical providers will work with you to find the right ingredient and strength you need for your prescription. This is such a great alternative for those who hate taking pills. Blue Chew's tablets are chewable, easy, and made in the USA, which makes preparation and direct shipping very convenient. If you want a special offer, we got one for you. Try Blue Chew free by using the promo code ITB at checkout. You only pay the $5 shipping charge. That's BlueChew.com, promo code ITB, all one word, to get your first month free. Guys, get your confidence back so you too can perform again like a star athlete. All right, let's get into what we're told, as I called it, our mid-camp progress report. And we'll literally go from position to position. So always smart to start at quarterback. and Jalen Hurts. Everybody always wants to know about Jalen Hurts. It's we can't change public opinion and the roller coaster of it. But the idea of good practice, bad practice, up and down. I mean, there's truth to it in that, from what we've been told, there's some, while he's improved in some areas, it's still overall kind of uneven. There are some good days. There are some days where you wish he would do a little bit better, but that's sort of, I mean, I don't want to call it the nature of the position, but it's sort of what they've got right now with Jalen Hurts. I mean, he still remains a work in progress. They're happy with certain things, and they want to. Even Nick Sirianni mentioned, and I think he was doing this intentionally. He was talking about his offense in the press conference before the link workout, and he said, "I'm not going to say what it is, but there's an area of our pass offense that I'm trying to get us to work on and improve a little bit." Now, he sort of gave, I believe, the answers to the test away in that, because at the time he was speaking about being able to attack from multiple levels, and he was mentioning some other players that he had that were really good at attacking from the second level or attacking from the third level. So I think you might have been able to deduce from it, he might have been talking about a little bit more of an aerial attack, like a second to third level attack. But again, he purposely said, I want to not say what it is, but I want to see some improvement in that area.
Yeah, it could be deep overs. It could be
right. It could have been more specific than just second.
Right. There's certain kind of routes, deep comebacks. Sure. Which, by the way, that's a power for a deep comeback. Is certain quarterbacks, like, you're not going to see Minshew most likely throw a deep comeback because that's a power throw. You got to push off your back leg.
Right.
And gun it for 20 minutes. It's just a power throw, though it's not deep down the field. So here's where we're told Hurts has improved. His progression reading from 1 to 2 is much better than it was. He's not bailing, very little, if at all. He's trusting his eyes more. That's improvement. There's no doubt. Now, I know he's been inconsistent. That's a fact. His last 3 or 4 practices, you're starting to see some improvement. Where he was very choppy the first week and a half, he's closed the week much better. Saturday, boy, he had a pass on Saturday. Give you my bird's eye view, because just like you said, I can only go through my mind what I saw, and I keep going back, keep playing it back in my mind. So then, you ask people, hey, what I saw, was it true? Yeah, the pass was right in. It was 11 on 11. I think he beat Slay. I'm not 100% sure. Down the right side, and it would have been a touchdown. What happened is Brown won with leverage. But he looked up and the ball was in his hands. He just didn't have time to adjust his eyes. And it was too bad. Yeah, it was too bad, because the pass was, and here's the great thing about Hurts on that throw. This is the kind of stuff that I look for. Does he throw with anticipation? Does he throw with timing? It's really important at the quarterback position. He did. He threw it, and then he's like, I'm trusting you to win this route. You're in the middle of it. I'm trusting you're going to win. That's really important, because that's NFL football. That's what you have to do at this level. When the games count, you got to trust your eyes and trust your pass targets. When Wentz was special in 2017, he trusted the hell out of him. Hurts has not gotten to that point yet. A little bit last year, not nearly enough. That was just one pass that I saw, and other people who were there, who would know, saw it. And this is again, it's an individual throw, but this shows growth, and we've seen this throughout training camp, where he's trusted the pass targets, and he trusts Goddard like nobody's business. And the thing with another one for you, he's throwing the ball over the middle on crossers to AJ Brown on the bang 8 that's the Titans play. I don't know what they call it here, but it's a bang 8 play where it's play action, 3-step, boom.
Right.
They may have it a little slightly different, but that's going to be a big play. And by the way, Goddard's getting it too. Goddard's getting a lot of seam stuff. You're starting to see them throw the ball, get him over the middle. So this is good. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think from my understanding, the RPO is still, they want to have a better passing offense, but an RPO can be a pass.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's a 50-50 proposition based on the numbers or what the quarterback's decision is going to be. So that's still going to be a big part of the game. And that route that you're talking about, the quick play action slant over the middle, I think AJ Brown was tailor-made for that route, to be honest with you. I mean, he's got that's the route that you want AJ Brown for. And the RPO, the ability to A, work that route, and then B, pull it the next time while they try to adjust and then have Jalen run a little bit is going to be, it should be an advantage for them. And you saw a play like that at the link where he did pull it and he ran and he did one of those jukes and Brandon Graham, was like out of his ankles the way he did that in New Orleans. So those two kind of should work off each other in that way, where you can work your RPO game with great crisp pass, short passing, and running, and that should be a big part of what the Eagles do offensively. So again, the best way to kind of summarize, I agree that people have seen improvement in Jalen throwing across the middle, going through progressions. There are practices where they think he's doing a good job of it. There are some where they think he could be doing a better job of it, and so they will continue to work it and work on it. And you know what? It's not just going to stop when training camp ends. I'm sure it'll still continue throughout the season.
Yeah, so the timing's better. So we'll see over the next few weeks and whether he plays in the preseason at all. But the good thing is he's starting to get the chemistry going. It's too bad that Devontae Smith is hurt because he's missed a lot of practice time.
Right.
They need to get him back because as Sirianni talked Sunday night, they got plus Watkins is the fourth pass target. This is the best developed pass target group they've had, and they're young. They're going to be together for a long time, particularly Brown and Smith and Goddard. We'll see how long Watkins. This is his third year of his 4-year deal. But it's kind of cool because their line is so elite. They have the best offensive line in football, and everybody knows it. It's terrific. They have good depth, but their starting unit, which we'll get into, and kind of what we've heard guys have looked like in camp. But when they got things going on, this offense has a chance to be pretty interesting.
All right, so we may have a story developing at backup quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And we started to allude to it last podcast.
Actually, 4 weeks ago, really.
Yeah, that's true. But I think, once they got on the field and started to show it, we saw it with our own eyes, and then now we've got it kind of double confirmed that Reed Sinnett is a guy who is opening up some eyes in camp. I mean, like you said, they've already year 2 in this offense, they already expected a little more. They like what they were seeing going back to minicamp, but he's doing a nice job. And interestingly, he got second team reps the other night at the link practice. Showcases a strong arm, but Adam, what we're told really is that the coaches like the way he comes to work every day. They think he's great in the classroom, good leadership, and it's not just like, it's your personality is good, but you're ugly. He's got a good arm. We've seen that.
Where did you come up with that one?
Well, I'm just trying to say, I'm not trying to say the whole leadership and person and stuff to kind of, make it seem better than it is. The arm strength is there. The mobility is that they like him physically well. I'm just saying that what really appeals to him is how he's come into camp this year and taken on that role and is really good in the classroom. And he's had a good camp.
It's important. Yeah, that's important. Now, what happened is I think I'm assuming I saw him in OTAs, the one practice we got. And then where I'm like, okay, I need to see if this is what this means. And then I watched him 2 weeks ago, whenever their first practice. It's the first time I ever actually sort of studied him. So, we ran it through some people and they said, yeah, this is true. He's opening some eyes. I'm like, okay. He was with the Bucks, with the Dolphins, as UDFA in 2020 with Tampa. He's with his third team. And I'm, as I was watching him last week, I'm like, what did these other teams not see and the Eagles are seeing here? Because this kid could spin it.
Yes.
And he's big too. He's 6'4", and you talked about his work ethic.
Yep.
Remember now, Minshew on the last year's rookie deal, and he's had an up and down camp, and Carson Strong's clearly not ready. This preseason, you and I were talking before we're dropping this today. This preseason could be fascinating for Sinnett here to make a push. I know they really probably only want to keep 2 quarterbacks, keep one on the practice squad, but this Sinnett kid may upset the apple cart a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. He's going to get a ton of opportunities in the preseason games, as you mentioned. So we'll see. But right now, between him and Carson Strong, it's not even close.
Oh.
Reed Sinnett is way
No
more
chance.
ready to go into a game and compete than Carson Strong is. And so we'll have to see what happens over these preseason games and how it all shakes out when the 53 is done. But yeah, right now Reed Sinnett is clearly ahead of Carson Strong. And Carson, and we both said this in the last pod, that just watching him in practice, it sort of seemed like, we know he has a great arm, but he was making throws and looking uncertain out there. And it just, you could tell he was swimming. And then I kind of, ran that up a couple of flagpoles. I think you did too. And we got the same feedback that going from that Nevada offense to this offense. In fact, I was told it's not even knee related, we know the knee's an issue as far as it's been medically repaired, but he's not struggling with that. It's right now, it's just all, in his head and just trying to learn the offense and everything.
Because on that, what happens is it makes your footwork, when you're not sure where to go, you may take a false step. Your footwork's all screwed up. And this mentally, it's tough when you're not processing well enough, when you're not comfortable with this offense, which is sort of an amalgamation of a couple different schemes. It technically may be West Coast, but it's really not. I'd say this much. It's supposed to be a timing. We were told back in March of last year, it's supposed to be an old school timing based offense. I guess you could call it like that.
I think the routes are. It's just like RPOs are not really a West Coast offense thing, right? That's more of a new wave spread and running with your quarterback zone reads. But I would say the routes are probably closer to West Coast.
Yes,
at least what we saw last year.
I'd agree.
And what we're hearing now. Yeah.
So just summing up, Hurts is making progress. Minshew's been uneven, so that's been a big story. Like if you list the 5 surprising stories, Sinnett's right up there. Like we got one on defense, which we didn't see this coming. Right. That'll be coming soon. On the show. But Sinnett's in my top 3, I would say. I don't know about you, but he's my top 3 surprises.
Certainly jumped out to me when we looked into it. I don't have much on running backs because the top 3 are the top 3. And the only thing that I came across would be the idea that, as we've talked about already, there's not an urgency right now to find a quote unquote big back, but maybe by the end of camp, when there's some cut downs, if there's a veteran that they feel like they need, it may happen. But that's we're a couple of weeks away from that. And that's only if and again, that could be another guy that they stash on the practice squad to call up if needed. But right now, the top 3 are the top 3. Sanders, Gainwell, Scott when he's not concussed, and we go from there.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that if you just look at all the big backs that are out there are so many of them. There are like 10 of them.
And that's just out there right now. I mean, think about all the ones that will be cut.
Sure.
In the next 2 weeks or so.
Yep. Carlos Hyde, Latavius Murray. We've heard the Eagles were at this point have not they have not looked at him yet. We'll see if they do at some point. Devontae Freeman, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, Jordan Howard, who had a workout last week with the Saints. Alex Collins is very physical. Justin Jackson, who was draft pick he actually played well last year. I'm surprised the Chargers didn't want him back. Kalen Ballage, who's a guy with size, who's could be goal line. So the Eagles have significant leverage here with anyone they want. They could just sign him, sign these guys. Convince these guys, hey, look, we're going to be really good. Want a chance to win a Super Bowl? Okay, it's a little strong, but you want to have a chance to go to the playoffs?
Right.
We got a great chance. That's the way I would look at it if I'm their front office.
No doubt about it. All right, so let's move on to pass catchers, and I think we already kind of covered the tight end situation. There's not a lot of competition out there right moment because Goddard's number 1 and Stoll's obviously the number 2, and there's too many people hurt right now to even talk about number 3. But wide receiver is interesting. I mean, we know obviously that AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, when they're both healthy, are the top 2. We've talked about Quez Watkins. Now, Zach Pascal finally returned to practice a little bit. He's going to get caught up. I thought Sirianni's press conference again was interesting because he mentioned 2 wide receivers by name I guess he was asked about one in particular, so he had to. But he said that he really likes Britton Covey's quickness. And he sort of went into detail about that. And then he also, Adam, I don't know if you heard him talk about, there was a time where they felt like Quez needed to get the ball a little more. So they called a couple of plays where they knew Quez could be one of the first two reads based on the defense. So as we say all the time here, when we're talking about the 3 and 4 receivers, you just heard Quez Watkins' name, Zach Pascal, and Britton Covey is going to be a guy, if he can continue to handle it, is going to compete for that punt returner / maybe get on the field and see some time in the slot.
All right, I'm going to add running back intel, which we didn't talk about. We definitely need to talk about after we're done receivers and tight ends.
Definitely, we'll go back to running back then. Okay.
Okay. So AJ Brown has been as advertised. We've blown him up pretty big here the last week or so. Our eyes didn't deceive us. He wins most of the time. I love what Slay said. He's making him a better football player because he's probably not. I mean, I don't know if he's going against him in his career, but when you play against a guy who's just tough physically, he's just a rare wide receiver. They're physical receivers. There's this guy, one of the most physical receivers in the game. He's just going to make you better because it helps you change your technique. Okay, I was on him. It didn't work. What do I do here? How do I win this hand fighting?
Right.
So will make him better. No doubt about it. He's right. I love his line about the 50-50 balls. He makes them 70-30 balls. Great. That's hilarious. That's a great line.
That is pretty funny. That is a good line.
It's a good one. So what we've heard with Brown is, I would say he's a better route runner than they probably knew, because we've talked about how he wins with leverage and power and hands and determination, but he is very crisp in his routes. Cooper Kupp is arguably and Devontae Adams are maybe the two best route runners in the NFL. I'm not putting them at their level, but the word that we've heard is he's better route running than he'd be given credit for, because no one ever really talks about that. It just came up in a conversation I had with someone who I thought brought up a good point, because everybody talks about one thing, they don't talk about the other stuff, and he will block for the run game, which is important. They're still going to run. So he's been as advertised. We don't need to go on and on and on. We've talked about him since the trade and kind of why the Titans did it, and how it's not good for them because they don't have anyone to replace him. But anyway, Watkins has been good out of the slot. He's still primarily a vertical slot. And we'll see when Smith gets back from his groin injury how they do it, because Smith now will be a true Z, where I know that Sirianni likes to say inside and outside. He doesn't go by the letters. I get it, and Brown, you can move him. He's not your typical X who just lines up on one side. He'll be moved a little bit, but he's going to be more stationary than probably Smith will be, obviously. And then Deion Kane has been a story. He's definitely pushing, as we said a couple weeks ago. If they could move Rager, if they decide to move Rager, then I think chances are going to that Deion Kane will make the team, or certainly seriously push for it. And then Britton Covey, first 3-4 days quiet. This past week, terrific. Short area quickness, phenomenal. I don't know what his 10 is. It's got to be good, because you see it on the field. He's really come on after a nondescript first 3 or 4 days last week, or actually the first week. But Sirianni's right, because in OTAs, apparently from what we heard, he was wowing them to the point where like, okay, let's see what happens when it really matters. And now he's ratcheted it up. And also on specials, he's got that great 10 to 12 yard burst. So I still going to go with what I said back in OTAs. I believe he'll wind up being the punt returner. I know it's got to play itself out, but they're very happy with him. And they did a lot of homework on him last fall. In fact, I guess they were pretty familiar with him. I don't know who the scout is, but apparently everybody seemed to know about him. Although he's a UDFA, they did a lot of homework on him, and I don't know what they gave him money wise, but they did a good job scouting him. And I have a feeling they're going to be right about him. This is yet another UDFA they're probably going to get right, but of course that means he's got to make the team. Yeah,
here's the money quote from Nick Sirianni. He said, "I don't think it's going to be a secret to the rest of the NFL is how quick he is. Everyone this is the money quote. Everyone is going to see how quick he is, and everyone is going to remember the plays he made at Utah with his quickness. That's sort of big talk for a guy who's got to make the 53.
I know.
I mean, I don't think he mentioned Jalen Reagor's name once the entire press conference, and yet Britton Covey, Quez Watkins, so I mean, the writing is sort of on the wall there.
Well,
I mean, again, he's got to make it. I'm not putting Britton Covey on the 53. I'm just saying you learn a lot about a guy with how a coach speaks of him.
Great point. Look, that's when I heard him say it Sunday night. I wasn't paying attention that the Reagor name not mentioned, but he blew up Covey so strong. He's acting like he's going to be on the team. So, okay, Brown, Smith, Watkins, Pascal are locks. Okay, you want to put Covey on the team? That's 5. If they trade Reagor, then it's probably going to be 5. Now Kane could be 6. If that's another Sirianni guy who's shown he's all the way back from the bad knee injury. It's taken him a long time, but it's been 4 years, but he looks great. We'll see what the preseason shows. And Devin Allen, to me, I can't imagine he'll make the team. He hasn't shown much at all.
No, one guy I can say that the team has been, pleased with. And again, I don't know how he gets onto the team, but maybe he's a guy on the practice squad. Is Deion Kane?
Yep.
Who
I just mentioned.
You mentioned. I'm sorry. He's a guy who needs to get out on the field and get a lot of reps to really understand, his role. But when he does and has that understanding, he performs well. So he has made an impression in camp, and we'll just see where that leads to.
Preseason, it's going to be, to me, he's got to show.
Yeah.
Here's another one for you. And we'll be at both the Browns and the Dolphins coming up 1 week after another. That's when, because coaches will tell you, these joint practices are like games. In fact, they're like 2 practices in one, because you practice with your own guys first, and then you mix it up with the other team, and they're ratchet up their physical. Kane's got to win. Though. He can't have a bad week or a slow week. He's got to keep it going, because they're going to, I'm telling you, for the first time, and we'd have to go back and ask or look, but the first time in 4 or 5 years, they legitimately have 58 to 60 players that they probably want to keep as of right now that they're really happy with. Whereas, man, I think last year we were like, I think they have like maybe 47 players are good enough, or 48, but it's really not that good of a roster this year. I mean, folks, folks who really follow this team know this is a really good roster. Now they got to play like it, but on paper, it's a pretty good roster.
Yeah. What was the running back note that you wanted to drop on us?
Yeah, just a couple things here quickly here with the running back. So Sanders has been, as we had noted in the OTAs, he looked bigger, but he's looked really explosive. So the muscled up stuff, the bulk is not slowed him down. I want to make sure to mention that, because I sometimes have a problem when running backs, they put on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. Well, wait a minute. Is the guy going to be special now that he's, you got to be careful of that stuff. The guys sometimes come less fluid, but no, he's looked the part. He's had a great camp. There are definitely contrasting styles with Gainwell and Sanders. They're completely different. Gainwell gets so low. I understand why he gets goal line carries, and Gainwell's going to be, he's just going to be mostly a passing down back. Now here's the question. You brought this up the last show. We know last year that there were primarily 2-back offense with Hurts as the third option to run football. Boston Scott got a nice guarantee. We don't know yet. We've checked in this. We don't know. I mean, Sirianni said it. They were 2-back offense last year. He passed, he said it in passing. But when you're paying Scott a good guarantee, Gainwell and Sanders are obviously going to be heavily involved. I'd love to know how they're going to make this work.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to answer for them. I'll just, based on the observations, I know they gave Boston Scott some money, and they probably did it because they wanted him back, and they probably felt he would be used because of the injuries that they've seen at that position to Miles Sanders and others. Jordan Howard, when he's been on the team, has had injuries. But it's not like they gave him a ton of money. They just gave him good money for his pedigree and resume in the NFL. So I would still think it's a 2-back offense but the history says Boston Scott's going to wind up being one of those two backs during a stretch of the season. And when he is, they use him. You know, it's weird because he collects dust, but then they don't really ease him back in once he's ready to go. And they did it with Jordan Howard, right? He collected dust for weeks on the practice squad. Then they call him up and bam, he's 8-9 carries a game.
So yeah, that's why I think they'll just keep 3 running backs. Scott will be the third.
Yep.
1.1 million of a $1.75 million total money. It was fully guaranteed at signing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to cut him. He's too good, and the guy's a good football player. And also, he could return kicks because their punt. The punt thing is, it's still kind of what we had said. It's in the end, it's probably going to. It's either if Rager's on the team, it's Covey or Rager.
Right.
If Rager's not, it's Covey. Other than that, now kickoff, it could be. And we didn't even mention John Hightower, who's opened some eyes occasionally, we're told, at camp. I remember you had said that you had heard the one thing about him as a rookie, despite all the negativity, he still was a pretty good route runner. I think you'd said
good route runner and picks up the playbook fairly quickly. Yeah.
Okay, well now he's more of a practice squad to me guy, and we fall return to practice after he had a minor injury, but so that's running back. We just want to make sure we talk about Gaywon Sanders because it's interesting. They're just completely different runners. Like there's nothing they do that's similar.
That is true. They are different. They're built differently. They run differently.
Yeah, totally different.
Certainly they catch differently.
Oh yeah, and Gainwell for fantasy folks, Sanders, I just don't see him. You know, obviously when he's in there, he can get a check down, but he's going to be pulled a lot in third down. That's just the reality of the situation.
Awesome. All right, so O-line. Right?
Oh yeah, tight end too. We got to do, but yeah.
Well, I thought we talked about the tight ends pretty much. Unless you're
what I want to add one more thing.
Yeah,
is Goddard has been phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to deal with Ertz. You know, they tried to trade Ertz last summer.
Right.
They couldn't get anything that they felt was fair. They waited. They still didn't get a great offer. Who knew that Zach was all the way back from the ankle surgery? Good for him. Got a 3-year deal, but Goddard looks phenomenal. See what they do is, and I know that they've down a lot of tight ends, but they're just rotating him not to wear him out. They really treat the veterans like they don't overwork them, and that's good. And obviously with the days off to a week and plus the walkthroughs, you're not overworking them anyway. So he looks fresh. They think the way we've heard, they think he's going to have a huge year. Yes. Huge year. Now, what does that mean? Is it 80 catches? Is it 70? Is the career high? Yes. But he also, we know he's had injuries in his career and he drops, trying to run with the ball when he doesn't have it, that kind of thing. But the guy is one of the top 5 most talented tight ends in the league. And I would agree with from the people we talked to. I think this will be a breakout year. Now, they're going to be more of a passing offense. We'd love to know how much more, but it's going to be more passing, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And in order to have a good passing offense, you have to have a great offensive line. You said the Eagles have the best. I would not argue with you. And it seems like the news gets better with them, which is amazing. First of all, Lane Johnson has had a great camp. He just looks spectacular. You heard Nick Sirianni call him the best right tackle in the world. And by the way, if you're best right tackle in the world, then you might as well just say he's the best right tackle in the entire solar system or universe, because as far as we know, there's no other right tackles on any.
We'll call it football. But look, Sirianni.
No, he's the best right tackle. It's got to be better than college football because he's the best right tackle in the world.
No, you always just say he's best right tackle in football. People are like, well, okay, he must be only the NFL. Well, obviously, that whoever says stuff like that must be in college football too. But
yeah,
in all seriousness, Sirianni boasts a lot about his players, and sometimes we roll our eyes, and we know the fans do, but he's right. And Johnson's by far the best right tackle in football. It's not close.
Oh, see, I don't know about that. I think Ramchick's really good. I think some really good right tackle.
Here's the thing, though. No, here's the problem. No one's a super freak athlete that like Lane. That's the thing that people don't understand. Yes, he's a technician.
To me, though, it's like, do you block your guy or do you not? I mean, it's great.
Yeah, but but you have to. If you graded everything, if you were grading a tackle, everything, technique, hand usage, footwork, size, athleticism, all the, if you grade the right way, like coaches do, he's the best right tackle in football. He rarely has an error. and Lane will tell you, because you and I talked to him, and I remember talking to the locker room time when he knows exactly what he did when he made the few errors he has per season. He's healthy. Everything's going well with him. He's unbelievably gifted. And I can't say this because it wasn't like I was at every practice. I know some people think this perhaps might be his best camp as a professional, just saying something. And he's elite. He's special. He will not only go in the Eagles Hall of Fame. I do wonder if he keeps this up, how far he can go.
Right. No, listen, I'm with you. I'm just saying if I'm Tristan Wirfs or Ramczyk from the Saints, I might, like want to fight.
They're very good.
How much further he is better, because those guys are really good too.
Lane is about.
They're not built like Lane though. I tell you that.
That's the thing. He's so elite athletically.
Yes.
Tackles like Jason Peters, he's called Dancing Bear. Jonathan Ogden.
Yeah.
Like they always say, well, these guys are big guys are not supposed to move like that. That's true. Especially Ogden. My God, 6'8".
Yeah. Oh,
or Orlando Pace, but then
there's Trent Williams.
Trent Williams, right? But Lane, remember, is a basketball player, a former quarterback. He's just incredible. And the problem with offensive line is the public does not really, when they watch games on television, particularly non-Eagle fans, if you're not watching coaching tape, you don't really know how special this guy is.
That's fair.
He just rarely makes a mistake.
Right.
Another part of it.
That was good. But we already knew Lane was really good. We just wanted to say that. But obviously the biggest question we talked about all off season would be who is going to be right guard with Landon Dickerson now entrenched as the left guard. Is Isaac Seumalo going to come back from this injury and have to adjust to it? Is Jack Driscoll going to give him a challenge? And through our mid-camp progress report, I can tell you, this is not a challenge. This is not a race. This is Isaac Seumalo's job. And Jack Driscoll is a nice backup swing tackle guard, but he's had a great camp, Seumalo, from what we've heard.
A couple things. I'm kind of surprised. Like, I know that Seumalo was the right guard in OTAs, but to not even let Driscoll have a chance to push him, I get it. It's Stoutland. It's his decision. He does whatever he wants. Who could possibly argue with him? He's phenomenal. Just a little surprised, that's all. Now, a couple things here. We're told Isaac's lost a lot of weight. I think we heard he's down in the low 300s. Don't know exact number. Now, I don't know if that's down 15 or 20 pounds. And the funny thing was, so I saw him with his helmet off. You know how you know this because you're at practice. These damn practice jerseys.
They wear them so up. I hate that.
Well, that's one of them. They lifted. No, but here's the thing, though. The 6s and 8s is next to impossible.
It's impossible. Yeah.
By the way, these go back 20 years. The same damn problem.
Right.
It's annoying as hell. So
and 2 and 3, by the way, when they do the when they roll their jerseys up, it's hard to tell the 2 from the 3.
Right. Yeah. So I'm like, ordinarily I would know it was Isaac Seumalo because his hair it's like a mushroom. He wears it out, right? Well, he got a haircut really short, and his back was towards me. I couldn't tell which number it was. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah. And
then I'm looking, who's 56? So I see him, he walks by me. I'm like, that's Seumalo. Oh my God, is he smaller? It touches his hair. Wow, did he lose a lot of weight? And he's had a great camp. He's all the way back, man. He's we know he's on the last year's deal and he gets hurt a lot, but
this is what Brandon Brooks did coming off his injuries, right? He transformed his body. Now it turned out he would wind up having another injury anyway.
We became Mr. Olympia though.
But like he went from kind of the bigger, heavier, beefier right guard, which he was good at being, just like Seumalo was, to the more physique, stronger, chiseled athlete, and he was good at that too but then he got hurt again. So hopefully for Seumalo, he has better health luck. Hopefully this helps him stay healthy. I mean, some of the injury stuff he's had has been freak injury. I don't think it's been a weight issue, but you never know. But so here's an interesting thing. The Eagles spent some money this offseason, even past, they obviously went out and got Hassan Reddick, and they spent some money on him. And then they brought in Kaiser White. They had their early wave of free agency, and then they started to bring a few more guys in. And it was told to me that there was a point where because they're tight against the cap now for this year, where they thought maybe with all their offseason moves that Sayamalu then would wind up being, like a not a cap casualty per se, but if you're going to spend money here, and someone has to go and you need to save some for either an extension or just to have some space, that maybe Sayamalu would be that guy. And we've been talking about that for a while, just as far as him having injuries and what happens if Driscoll's better. But that conversation's been tabled because he's been so good. He's worth what is his starter money. I mean, his contract was team friendly anyway. It's only not team friendly if he's a backup. But as a starter and a productive one, it's a good contract. How many years are left? 1 or 2?
This is it. Yeah. In fact,
one, right? Yeah.
Yeah. He had 2 voidables, 23 and 24. Actually, 23 through 25 void. So this is his last year now. 4.978 million is his base salary. Cap number 7.668. There's no guaranteed money left. So yeah, he's the right guard. That's this is a new position. That's the other thing. Mm-hmm. And what we're told is he's been comfortable. Now we'll see when they go against the Browns front in the joint practice. That Dolphins front is nasty.
Dolphins too. That is a nasty front.
Right,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah. But he's passed the test. Another good story. This is I felt we were so negative last season because look, we were telling the truth last season. There was a lot of bad with this team. They made the playoffs. Yeah. Roster wasn't very good. They overachieved. As we go through this offense, I'm like, I'm not trying to be negative purposely, but I'm like, everything's so positive. I'm just kind of shocked at it's been hard to find anything negative. Landon Dickerson apparently he had some pass blocks that could be better. Mm-hmm. But he's not rehabbing. He's a mauler.
Right.
Mailata looks terrific. He's getting more and more used to the hand usage, and he's in great, absolutely for the best shape of his life. I mean, if you could say someone's in great shape at 380, you could say it. He really is. Dillard came in camp and jacked up.
Right.
With some other stuff, but what else do you have?
Well, continuing some of the good news is we're told Cam Jurgens has surprised them in camp. Like, they already knew he was a good athlete. That part is not surprising. In fact, that was one of the big reasons he was a second-round pick. And sort of that heir apparent to Jason Kelce was the athleticism and the strength that he has. But he had an opportunity to get in with the first-team offense at center early, with Jason Kelce was out progressing from COVID. And I was told he did an excellent job of mastering the mental part of that position, identifying coverages, calling out the mic, getting everybody on the same page. I was told he's doing a really good job of that. They're very impressed with him in the one-on-ones. And we mentioned this in the last pod, when he has to go up against a huge guy like Jordan Davis, he's held his own. He's had a plan. He executes the plan well. He's not perfect by any stretch of the means, but everything that they've wanted him to be so far, he has been for them. So that's a good sign. Again, he's not going to start. And I was told that I think he's taken a couple of guard reps and it hasn't been perfect. Is
that right? Okay.
Yeah, they're still trying to, it may have been like not in a game or a 7-on-7. It may have just been, I don't know, situational practice, walkthrough. I have no idea, but that's still a work in progress for him. Yeah. But as far as having to go in, play center, and understand everything that a center has to bring to the table mentally, which is a lot, they've been very impressed.
Yeah. So what's interesting about Jurgens is he only played center for 2 years at Nebraska. Mm-hmm. He tested very well mentally, which is always good. His 10-yard split was outstanding for a tight end, for a center.
Yep.
At 171. If you're under 175, that's really good. Mm-hmm. So that's fantastic. The thing that's going to have, if he ever has to play, is getting the quarterback out of a bad spot. That's always the key. But as you said, so far so good. Mm-hmm. This is the guy that met with Kelce in his pre-draft visit, and they hit it off. And he raved to the front office, and he did some homework on him, from what we understand, and he definitely gave his voice to it. Some people think I know he didn't pick the player, but some people think he had an impact on it. You never know what the truth is, but Fact of the matter is, we know it's been speculated that this is Jason's guy, and Jason actually said it. So we'll see if it works long term. But we could finally say something about this, as we said the last time we talked about him. This is definitely once and for all, not Dickerson, not Say Malo. This is the handpicked guy. This is the guy they finally got to replace Kelsey.
There you go. Last thing I have, Adam, offensive line, is that a guy that they've been impressed with his development is Sua Opeta, who we've seen have to play at times. And we've talked about how he's sort of limited in that he can only play guard. And at one point it was only left guard. There's always been this about Sua. He's always had strong hands and been a very strong guard. He's not the big beefy guy. He's just a really strong kind of country strong guard. And but he's also another guy who's got to get into a lot of reps. He's got to understand the assignments, and they got to really work with him. And it sounds like this camp, he's done a better job of picking things up and showcasing himself. So there's an opportunity. I mean, if they keep 9 offensive linemen, certainly beyond the starting 5, you'll have, Jurgens potentially 6 and Dillard 7 and Driscoll 8. And then you start talking about, well, who could be 9 or 10? Raven Clark probably is going to be in that conversation, and then 10 could be Sua Opeta, but they could easily trade one of the guys we just mentioned, like Dillard. So that bumps everybody up a little bit in the backups.
Yeah. So Peta, the thing with him was when he was a rookie in 2019, undrafted, sorting was the challenge for him. As traffic when you're playing inside, it's just sorting, the traffic that comes to you, and that's something he had to work on, but he's gotten better with it.
Right.
So yeah, look, Driscoll right now is the backup right tackle. With all these injuries, you do wonder. Someone asked us this a week ago, and I said I'd address it. What do we think the Eagles would take for Dillard? But my point is this: if Mailata gets hurt and they traded Dillard, I'm sorry, that Raven Clark's a decent backup. I'd rather have Dillard, wouldn't you?
Yes, but the problem is, this is the last year of his deal. You're not going to franchise tag him.
Mm-hmm. No, of course.
And you're not going to sign him to an extension. You have an opportunity to get something for him. I think sometimes, if you get a good offer, you have to do it and take your chances with your coach, Selwyn, your development. You've got LaRaven Clark, who's played the position. I know it's not. I can't imagine. I don't think Jack Driscoll could play left tackle. I think he's either.
If he had to, they think he could do it. But yes, it's not.
It's not just not going to be great at it.
Not ideal at all.
Yeah. No.
Well, let's put it this way: if they thought this was going to be an average team below average, I would say absolutely trade Dillard.
Yeah.
When you've got this roster, I'm telling you, I'm not a homer, folks. You know, the people say we're too negative. We just tell you what we know, what we hear, and what we see. This is a really good roster.
Yeah.
They should.
Yeah.
If this is not a playoff, if this is not a playoff team, it would mean that they suffered a lot of injuries. I'm sorry. There's no excuse for this team not to be. They got, and their schedule's good. They got in the playoffs by a miracle. With a below average roster, which you tribute to the coaches and the players for playing, doing everything the right way.
Mm-hmm.
This roster is way better than last year. The depth is much better. So I wouldn't do it. Well, let me ask you this though: would you do it for a third?
Yeah, I probably would. I would.
Okay,
I would.
All right. Well, we're
not. Listen, like we're talking about Andre Dillard here. He has not gone in and played some high level of left. They've gotten by with him. I think he still struggles in pass protection against bull rushes. He was obviously good enough for the run heavy offense, RPO offense, screen offense, for them to be able to use his athleticism, which he has really good. And I know he's bulked up, and I know it's the best, but like we're still talking about a guy who has not started more than 5 games in his career, or 6 games. So if you're giving me a 3rd round pick for that, yeah, I'm pulling the trigger, because I can't tell you right now that he's that much better than LaRaven Clark as a long haul player. I mean, I know LaRaven's just okay, and the Colts didn't want him, so he can't be that great. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, part of me thinks that sometimes if your offense is playing well enough, you can sort of disguise it. Like, isn't Matt Pryor the starting left tackle for the Colts this
Well,
year? I don't know how long that's going to last, but
yeah, it's probably gonna be that Bernard Raymond.
rookie,
but yeah,
right? Raymond. Yeah.
it's funny because
yeah,
he should. I mean, that kid. There's no way who would you rather have, that kid or Dillard?
Raymond or
No,
Matt Pryor.
Matt Pryor.
Yeah. Matt, probably Dillard. Probably Dillard. Yeah, probably Dillard. I just don't want to sit here and give Dillard some kind of, anoint him anything when he has not done anything.
I hear you, but the guy was a former first-round pick, and you don't want to give players away. Quite frankly, the other thing is, here's another one for you, which is legitimate. Obviously, he won't be back next year. Big V. Now I know Big V started in the Super Bowl. That's why he got paid.
Yeah,
he got paid $10 million a year, which is shocking.
And now he's right guard.
Yeah, I mean, who could play tackle? He's got positional versatility where Dillard does not.
Correct.
But the question would be, before we move on here, to me, that because this is a playoff team, legitimately, do they look at it that way? They may not look at it the same way we do. But they turn out overtures. We reported prior during the trade deadline, and also there was some interest in Dillard before the draft. I know that, but we'll see what happens there. That's another interesting one because if everyone's healthy, they have obviously better depth, but right now it's hard.
It is. All right, I want to transition to defense, Adam, unless I think that's everything we got on offense.
Jack Anderson is.
Oh, and I forgot to mention Jack Anderson's name. Yeah, he's also in the mix.
Involved. Yeah, he's definitely. They like him. See, the supposed Stoutland guys are just guys that he developed. He's really proud of. Not that he's not proud of everyone, but guys he's got a special relationship with. Is Isaac Seumalo. We were told this is one of his guys that he's developed. They have a great relationship. We know Jack Driscoll, as you pointed out 2 years ago, was one of his guys. But Seumalo in particular, they've grown together because Isaac, in the first 2 years, were bad, where he couldn't get out of his own way. Confidence was down, and 18 was his breakout season. This is a big year. I do wonder with him, if he kicks ass, would they consider bringing him back?
We shall see. That's a good question.
I never thought about that before until we just started talking about it. But that's true. We've covered like 30 players on offense.
Yeah, it was a lot on offense. I want to move to defense, and I want to do it backwards. I want to start from the back and go to the front. Ordinarily, we do it front to back, but I think the bigger news is in the back, so we'll get to that. First, as you heard us talking for quite a while now, we've got a great new partner, Freestone Farms CBD. It's our favorite CBD brand because they farm it themselves with all organic inputs. And they offer you some education on what they grow and how they grow it to make the best quality product on the market. We've tried a ton of different brands, but Freestone Farms CBD, it's just been amazing for us. We like it after workouts because it helps with that regular post-workout kind of drudgy feel. And then we also like it before bed because it helps us sleep better at night. That
does. Trust me.
What's more exciting is our friends at Freestone Farms have an all-new strain menu. You've heard us talk about the supremely good CBD that you will find at prices that you'll love. So go to freestonefarmscbd.com. You'll find it there. One of the strains we've talked about is the tropical tasting Bayox, clocking in at 24.1%. And of course, the super CBD. It's a half Hindu Kush, 21%. The genetics these guys use just don't get any better. They grow all their premium hemp flower in the Garden State with all organic inputs and IPM, nothing synthetic from farm to jar. And after harvest, they carefully preserve the plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. All you need is a look or a smell to know that it's CBD done right and that it's the product great for anyone who's trying to take a more natural approach to what you put in your body. So use that promo code ITB to get 20% off at checkout. That's promo code ITB at checkout on FreestoneFarmsCBD.com. All right, like I said, Adam, the news that we've gotten on the Eagles defense, we got to start with the back end.
Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Go ahead.
Right.
Yeah, this is. I can't wait for this. Go ahead.
So some development to go corner and safety, and I don't even want to separate corner and safety because I think we have to kind of marry the two. Because as we've discussed schematically, what we hear that Jonathan Gannon wants to do is be able to match a lot. Some of last year we talked about pattern matching. Sometimes people call it mirror match, whatever it is. It's basically, it's sort of a man's own hybrid, and he wants to create guesswork for the quarterback on the back end. And obviously that requires a lot of communication, a lot of trading off from the corners and the safeties. It takes coverage acumen. Like you have too many hard hitting safeties out there, you're not going to be able to pattern match. You need guys who can cover. And so why don't we talk about corner? Because I know that we both kind of heard a name and it was like, we know that the top two corners are Bradbury and Slay.
Yeah. We'll talk about all of them.
Yeah. We'll talk about all of them. And Avonte Maddox is in the slot, and I have something on him. We have something on him in a minute.
Oh yeah.
But the big question is, what are they doing after that? And a name that has come up is who? Adam, take it away.
Yeah. So Josiah Scott.
Yeah.
Who they got? Who was a fourth rounder for Jacksonville?
Fourth round pick 2 years ago from Jacksonville. Yeah.
Yeah. Dave Caldwell, who's an executive with the Eagles, who got promoted this year. Drafted him in fourth round in 2020, and he was with the Eagles, as we know, last year. He was on their opening day roster. He was on IR. He came off IR, didn't really play very much, but he's been one of the stories of camp. There's no question about it. I know the reporters who were there talked about him playing free safety. It's definitely true. But the key, this is what he's explained to me. Your fifth corner cannot just be a specials team, and you really don't want him just to be an inside or outside corner. You'd like him to be both, because it just if let's just say he can only play the slot. Well, if your slot corner doesn't get hurt, he's only going to be a special teams player. He probably won't play very much unless somebody gets hurt at outside or inside corner. So you'd like him to have a lot of ability, and they line him up everywhere apparently in camp, and he's been a great story, very quietly. I'm not going to go out on a limb like when we said Jack Stoll's making this team. I think we might have said the first week of August last year. I'm not there on Scott yet. I'm not saying the stuff we heard is true. It's absolutely true. You heard similar stuff, but I want to see what happens because he's a corner. I want to see what happens when he gets into games, the 3 preseason games. I want to see what happens. The joint practices, not that he's going to go up against the ones, but Miami's got very deep at wide receiver. See what happens in the practices. See what happens in the preseason against the Browns and the Dolphins and the joint practices. Let's see what happens. But there's a saying in the National Football League: the more you can do gives you a better chance. He's one of those more you can do guys, and give him credit. He's a pretty smart kid. So he's a great story that we really haven't talked about before. People had asked us, well, who's going to win the fifth corner? I said, we'll look into it. And we looked into it. So that's that. Zach McPherson, by the way, has had a good camp. This is his best camp of the two.
Right.
More and more confident, less and less mistakes. He's absolutely the third outside corner. Barring something highly unforeseen, that's the way it's going to that's the way it's going to line up in the regular season. Jimmy Moreland, unfortunately, had what we're told is a slight ankle. It's day to day. We'll see when it comes back, but he had not pushed McPherson yet, we're told. So we'll see. Tate Gallen's not close to pushing them. Right. And then
that's correct.
Yep. And then who else?
No, I've heard good things about Josh Jobe, who's obviously an undrafted free agent from Alabama. I haven't heard that he's, I've just heard that he's done well in practice. Obviously, he's a far away from making the 53. I think the other rookie free agent cornerback that we had talked about was Mario Goodrich.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah, but it sounds to me like Jobe's done a better job and is ahead of him. And we'll
Blackwell too.
These are guys are going to get a ton of reps in the preseason game, so we'll be able to accurately say more if what they've shown early on, will continue. But I think you nailed it on the head with Josiah Scott as far as what they're envisioning and what they see, which is the versatility, the being able to do more than one thing. You can move around, play slot, play third safety, and he can cover. You know, it's different than
Inside or out.
having-
Yeah, he's not just a slot. Yeah, you could better inside, but you could line him up everywhere.
Right.
This is
so it's 3 positions: inside, outside, and potential third safety.
Man, that's got great value plus team. So
right.
Yeah, this is a good story. We'll see now. Again, you know, we're not willing to give him the rubber stamp yet. Let's see him go through every preseason and the practices and all that, the joint practices and the rest of the training camp. But yeah, I would say clearly right now he's the leading 5th corner. Maddox has had a great camp. This is his best camp.
Great camp. But that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to add. That Maddox has had an outstanding camp.
Have you heard anything like what?
That's what I've heard, that he is.
No. But what specifically? Anything?
Just always around the ball, knowing where to be. Remember, as we're detailing, they're trying to be a little bit more intricate on the back end. So you can't just be good. You have to be smart. You have to know your assignment. You have to communicate well. His leadership, his play is at a high level right now. I mean, I was told it was his best camp. I mean, he's been on the team 4 years now.
Yeah.
5 years? Is it
5th year? Yeah.
This is his 5th year. So this is camp number 5 for him, and it's his best one so far, by far so far. So that's really good news. I mean, we said this, once they put him in the slot last year and left him there, he was going to then be able to work on his craft and improve and not worry about where the next snap is going to be. And he came in great shape, and he's doing everything they want him to do. So it's a great start. I mean, it's great. You've got Slay, you got Bradbury, you got Maddox. That's going to be your top 3, and that they're in a good place with that.
They're in a good. Fact,
go ahead.
No, what are you gonna say?
I was going to say it's good that they're in a good place with that, because safety is a little bit of a struggle for them right now.
We'll get to that in a minute. So let me finish this off. Bradbury's been tremendous. Certainly, if you graded who are the top 10 performers in practice, he's in the top 5. Maybe you would argue if you said top 3, he's been phenomenal. He's the word we were given is very sticky, which means no one's getting by him. He's right up on the receivers. He's super fluid. Slay's a better athlete. Bradbury's a little bit longer, but he's been great. I love that term, sticky. I get that one. Even a dummy like me can figure that out. So he's been great. Slay certainly had his moments where AJ Brown's gotten the best of him.
And Slay has struggled as an Eagle against the more physical receivers. DK Metcalf, the Devontae Adamses.
That's it.
Of the world. From it was mostly 2 years ago. McLaurin gave him some problems 2 years ago. Not so much last year.
No, Slay was great last year.
Yeah, it was great. Oh yeah, he was fantastic last year. But I don't feel like last year he saw as many big physical receivers as he saw two years ago when he had to play Metcalf and Devontae and some other guys. So
that sticks out so well when Metcalf abused him. It was, he got right. Like, didn't he get like really? Did he like a lot of space?
Yeah, Metcalf's good. I mean, what are you going to do? Metcalf
has got Drew Lock and Geno Smith thrown to him. We'll see how good he is for fantasy. But this tandem, these 2 corners, they've. I mean, I guess based on what we've been told, Bradbury's been better than Slay in training camp. Overall, it's not like Slay's been bad, but if you graded every snap, Bradbury would be better. I don't know how many plays I didn't ask how many plays Bradbury's given up, but we're just told he's been great, and to the point where you ask yourself, why did the Giants cut him? We know it was cap related, one of the rare cap casualties. They're just it's almost like there are none anymore, but this one was truly one.
Right. They had to pay they couldn't pay their rookies if the way it was at the time, right? They hadn't.
They were in dire. Yeah, they were dire. In fact, they couldn't bring back Devontae Booker, was only making like ridiculous.
Yeah,
he's a good backup runner. But anyway, so this is high character kid. Yeah, this is he's the kind of guy. If he plays well, if this could be, we'll just see. We'll see.
Yeah, let's see.
He just turned 29, but if he plays well and we're in December, don't be shocked if they re-sign him or if they extend his contract. Don't be shocked.
We will see on that. Safety. Look, Jaquaski Tart. From what we understand, he's he's not there yet. He's learning the playbook. It's a different playbook. It has nothing to do with injury or conditioning. That's fine. It's just that he's just not there yet as far as being ready to go out and execute this defense. If they had to play a game today, they don't have to play a game today. There's time, but we can't sit here and tell you that we've heard he came to camp and wow, it's like they're amazed with what he's been able to do on the field. So
yeah, they play primarily zone defense in San Francisco or Santa Clara, to be honest. That's where they are. But wide nine, they're a wide nine front. The responsibilities are different on the run. Coverages are different. This is a challenge for a safety. He's not a corner. He's a safety. He's different. Responsibilities are different than corners are. It's just different for him, and he's got to get it. And he's not pushing Harris yet, if at all. This safety position for the Eagles, it's a clear weakness. I don't think this is secret to anyone who follows the team. They know it. We know it. Epps is a good player. He's their best coverage guy. It's a big year for him. They're optimistic. They're cautiously, I don't want to say cautiously. They're optimistic that what they're seeing now, because he performed well, will be what they see in season. But he's never put it together before.
Right.
And what a year to do it when you're on the final year of his rookie deal. And then Tart, they just got to be patient. They just got to. It's not a lack of want to. It's a challenging situation.
Sure.
And we'll see what happens. The preseason work is going to be important for him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the list is long of veteran safeties who've tried to come here and assimilate. Going back to like OJ Atagwe and Jared Page and. Oh man, so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's too early to tell whether it's going to work. You like that, OJ? You love the OJ Atagwe pull.
Dude,
I just see that smile on your face.
OJ Atagwe, number 21. I had such high hopes for him because he was such a very underrated player. Yet another guy who came here. I don't know if he was washed up or just couldn't play anymore. Oh, he was not who I thought he was, man. I thought he was going to be a stud here because he was so good for the Rams. Nope, wasn't here.
Will Parks, you can put his name on that list.
That hamstrings. He was out 2 months.
And it's not like he's gone on and had a flourishing career.
No, he hasn't. I know, but they had a certain way they were going to use him, and it never happened. I know at the time they signed him, they were so excited to see what he can do. And by the way, on Bradbury's contract, we're told that he's got a 4-year void, but what he has is to get to the 10 million of upside, because he's going to make a minimum of 7.25 million. The team achievement, getting in the playoffs, interception starting at 4, and I believe Pro Bowl to get it all.
Okay.
But four interceptions, that's not easy, but there's intervals. If he gets 4, it's this much. If he gets 5, that kind of thing. So
there you go. All right. So that'll pretty much wraps it up on defensive backs. We'll get into the linebackers in a second. I want to remind everybody to check out our friends at PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan. That is their motto. So make sure you check them out at PHLSportsNation.com and on Twitter at PHLSportsNation. And we'll pause real quick to catch a word from our other great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. And if you stop in at Sky Motor Cars in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them Adam and Jeff sent you. You'll get a great deal. All right. Speaking of deals, linebacker. So linebacker is an interesting spot because it's not like, I don't think most of the top 4 are decided. It's just kind of what roles they're going to play. I mean, we know TJ Edwards, we'll get to him in a second. TJ Edwards, Kaiser White, they draft Nakobe Dean, and they've got Davion Taylor. And in some form or fashion, those 4 linebackers are going to play. I think, we'll get to Nakobe Dean in a second. But I will say that I've probably come from my mouth that I didn't think TJ Edwards was going to be able to be a nickel this year. I thought that Nakobe Dean would probably come and take that job, and he still might, or like Dean and Kaiser White. But he's making it very difficult. TJ Edwards having a really good camp from what we understand. if you go back and look at what they got when they signed him a couple of years ago as an undrafted free agent, he was a downhill linebacker, not the greatest athlete, good intelligence, thought that he would help in run defense. He has tried to improve his athleticism. I mean, he's shed a little bit of weight. He's worked on it, but from my understanding, Adam, where he is really advanced in the intellectual side of the game. And that's why when you see him, he knows where to be. He gets in front of a lot of balls. He gets his hands on balls. He's just very smart and understands where he's supposed to be at all times. And we already know he plays the run very well. I was told he's having a good camp, which makes it difficult to take him off the field.
He actually had a great camp, and not only is he have a good camp, this thing that shocked me is that his coverage area. I think you talked about this last year. You'd heard that he got maybe, I don't know if you say faster. I can't remember exactly what you said, but you'd said in the offseason you'd heard he improved in coverage. Well, apparently he's been one of the best coverage linebackers in training camp. This is something I never would have believed.
Well, you know how we talk about your play speed can be different than your time speed, because if you have an advanced understanding of where to be, you can run to that spot knowing where to go. And his play speed has improved over. I think if he ran a 40 right now, it's probably not that much different than when he first got in league, or maybe last year or the year before. But that's why we always talk about your 40 doesn't really tell you all the time what your play speed is. And his play speed has been phenomenal.
It's great. That's a great way to say it. So apparently he's had one of the best camps of any player in offense and defense. Now the question, we'll move this along here, because the coaches are going to have to figure this out once we get to the regular season. If this keeps up, which you would think it would, because he knows what he's doing, and he's been one of the best linebackers in camp, and Dean is starting to come along from what you hear. Dean is a phenomenal blitzer, one of the best blitzing inside linebackers for this draft. So you ask yourself this: you drafted Dean to be an every down back, and no one knew that Edwards would be this good at this point. We'll see if it continues. Look, it's a good thing to have. We've made fun of these linebackers for 5 years since we've done the show. It's been a joke, but they're on their way to finally getting this right. And we'll get to Reddick in a second and Kaiser White. They've got some challenge. This is a good problem to have, I guess. And Davion Taylor's put some weight on, as we noted months ago. He's taken up yoga to help him get flexibility. He's put the weight on, and so far so good. He hasn't been hurt yet. Hopefully he won't. So we know they're going to be a super duper multiple defense. You're going to, from one week to next, they can morph into something else, kind of like the Wingland would do when they really were innovative. I'm not putting Gannon on Belichick's level, but that's what made Belichick great, because you didn't quite know when you're watching the tape. Okay, they're doing this week, then they morph into something the next week. Well, Gannon has done so much with their fronts and their coverages, and you've got these linebackers, these multi-position linebackers. One guy could play inside, one guy could be a blitzer,
right?
One guy could be an overhang player, which we talked about. So there's the multiplicity with this defense of these players, man. It's pretty interesting.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with some of the bottom roster linebackers who have been on the team either last year or the year before because they are great at special teams, like Sean Bradley, or because they were draft picks like a Patrick Johnson. This year they took Karan Johnson, Jacoby Stevens. All these guys can't make it. You've already got four. Exactly. We already outlined 4 stack linebackers who are going to make it, and Hassan Reddick is going to make it. That's 5 right there, even though he's more of a strong side pass rusher. But you can't keep all those guys, so it's going to be good competition to see who makes it and plays on special teams.
Well, Kyron Johnson is going to make the team, and he's going to be on specials. He's one of the fastest players on the team. In fact, what we had heard, pass rush rise, he's opened some eyes. Remember Andy Weidel talked about it post-draft with Roseman, right, about what they saw at the Senior Bowl. Well, he's showing up. Yep. He's showing up when he gets a chance. He's so Reddick is a little bit stronger, but he's also not tall. They've got 2 speed guys. Like what did Andy Reid say? Fast. He likes to throw fastballs.
Yeah.
But Reddick is, get to him now. He's been as advertised. He's been phenomenal. Everything they thought he would be, he's been. He hasn't been terrible in coverage. A little they've asked him to do it. He's sort of held his own. But you're not going against an NFL offense now. You're going against a controlled offense that. But you wonder though when it's for real, how much he'll rush. We assume because they're paying him to $15 million a year, it's going to be a lot. I'm going to trust Gannon here that he's going to have him primarily as a pass rusher because that's what he's supposed to do. As more of a 34 outside linebacker as an overhang player. He's been great. Kaiser White's done a nice job as an inside linebacker. I believe will be on the weak side when they play 43, inside when they play a 34. Edwards is. Here's a question for you. We know in the 34 where he's playing. I guess he'd be if 1 week they're going to play at 43. I guess he's a starting Mike.
Yeah, I think that would be fair. Yeah.
And Dean to back him up.
Look, I mean, if they're playing if they're playing a 40 front and they're in nickel, it sounds like right now Edwards is going to be one of the nickel guys. So I mean,
with White, not Dean. No,
right.
I'm glad you brought that up because to move it forward, that's the other thing we were going to get to, and we just got it. That's absolutely the truth because Dean now. Well, actually, let's just see.
I think we got to see how this thing works out.
Right, yeah, Edwards has been so much better. He's making plays. He's instinctive. I love the way you set that up like 5 minutes ago. It makes you play faster when you're not fast.
Right.
Consequently, the other way is when we used that example with Ronald Darby a couple of years ago. He had slow eyes. It makes you slower because you're later to react when in essence he's unbelievably fast.
All right.
But when you can't react, when you're thinking out there just a split second, it makes you look slower. So that's a great point you made. So other than that, that's pretty much it at linebacker.
Yeah. And, as we transition and finish it off with defensive line, I can't say this is like the most solid and secure group that they have on the entire team. I don't have any, I mean, of course we've got some notes on some guys, but specifically Jordan Davis being a rookie, but most of these guys like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, we've already said looks very explosive and back to normal. And, Hassan Reddick is a pass rusher. He's explosive. So I did hear Marlon Tuipulotu continues to look good. Yeah. So that's a good development for them. Again, they're going to need somebody who can play over the center as a nose if Jordan Davis is hurt or struggling or whatever it is, and Tuipulotu has that ability. So when they wound up waiving Luther Ellis, I think who had an injury, they were really missing that kind of backup space.
Ellis is Luther's his dad. What was his first name?
Oh, what did I say? I didn't mean Luther Ellis. I meant
Noah
Ellis. Yeah, thank you.
And the other Ellis is still on the roster, Christian.
Right, Christian Ellis still there as linebacker. But yeah, so they needed somebody who could potentially have that ability, and Marlon Tuipulotu's had it. He's healthier this camp, so that helps too.
He's back to normal.
Having a good camp. Doesn't mean he's definitely making the team. It just means he's
he's in the conversation is our term. He's in the conversation to make it. They're moving Cox around as they did in Saturday's practice. That we'll see once we get, because with Gannon, you got to take a leap of faith that because last year, and I don't want to put the full blame on him, he couldn't do what majority of the stuff they did in the preseason or training camp, the special stuff, he just couldn't do it because he didn't have the players, he didn't have the depth, also didn't have the coverage players. Now he's got everything. You can't point the finger at the front office anymore. They can't do any more than they've done. I literally cannot. You want to trade for Jesse Bates, and that's a different story, who you can't extend until next year because he's on the franchise tag. I'm not saying they are, folks, to be clear. I know fans want that to happen. That would be the only thing that you could possibly do. They were not on him last check, but you never know what that means. Maybe they look into it. Who knows? Because if the Eagles or any other team think that he's serious about this, because he hasn't signed his franchise tag, so he can't get fined. If he takes us to late this month, if he takes it to early September, doesn't sign, who knows? But anyway, Milt Williams is, the minor injury came back after 1 or 2 practices.
That was good.
Elbow, he's going to line up at both spots, more inside than outside. Jordan Davis flashes every practice. His weight, by the way, we're told I'm wrong. I thought it was 360. He looked at. What am I supposed to, like? I see the guy go by me. He's gut's a little bigger than you'd like at his age.
His everything is bigger than
I know. That's what I have to get used to, because I was right on Mount Malata last year. He looked heavy. He was 20 pounds overweight. He lost it. 25 pounds over. He lost it. But Davis, we're told, is in the 340s. Don't know the exact number, but he's okay. You know, I don't know. I don't know what weight they want him at in the end. You know, what's realistic? Is 330 realistic? 325 when he's
I
in
think
third or
he
fourth year?
said they want him between 335 and 345 in that neighborhood. I'm pretty sure
he's definitely there. Okay.
Yeah.
You got
So
the water weight, you know, we'll lose it, you know.
Yeah. Hargrave,
So,
Adam. I was told Hargrave before the injury was having another excellent camp.
Okay.
So, which is always good. I mean, he had an excellent year.
Contract
You want to
year.
make sure a guy keeps it up, contract year, so that helps him. But another really good, you know, just continuing to pick up from where he left off. So that was good.
I mean, this rotation between Cox, who looks, the way we heard is he looks energized. Maybe it's because Gannon's moving him around. I don't know, but apparently he's happy to be back. Obviously, he's making good coin. So you got Graham, who you mentioned, and Barnett.
I don't know what they're going to do with Derek Barnett, but apparently, you know, from what we understand, he's going to have some kind of role. I mean, I don't think they're going to cut. They're not going to try this whole Jordan Howard cut and then bring back on the practice squad because they gave him a lot of money. Yeah.
Over $7 million. For the season. No, he's going to have he'll be in the DN rotation and the outside linebacker stand up overhang rotation.
Yeah.
Sweaty. This is his best camp. Josh Sweat has been phenomenal, we're told. Again, the positivity, folks. We just tell you what we hear, and we run it by a lot of people, and this is what we hear. He looks great. And I saw with my own eyes. What a story of development he's been, man. If we all know, if we followed his career and #1 high school recruit in the country, almost not only was his career over, potentially he came within inches of not being able to do anything with that one leg. And what a story! Great for him. Got a really nice contract. Good job by his agent, and it's he's one of their best defensive players. There's no question. He's been an incredible story, and they're doing. He's still doing standing up with him. He's playing with his hand down. Obviously, he'll play more standing with his hand down than up. But you know, I still argue that he's not as comfortable standing up. They don't really line him up inside. He's not in a. He doesn't do that in nickel with Brandon like Brandon Graham does.
He's an edge guy.
Yes, which is good.
Yeah.
I don't. Although he's super long, you love to have interior guys who are long. He's not. His get off isn't as good like that.
Right.
Marvin Wilson, we're told, is he kind of like Sasha Ray. He has a couple really good snaps per practice. You go, wow, okay, let's see more of this. So I still don't believe it because they're going to have a numbers problem. I just don't. If the roster wasn't good, I could see them keeping 5D tackles and go short at corner or short, you know, on all line. But they have this roster's so good. I don't see how, even if Tui Pelotu blows it up and he continues what he's doing now. We're not going to do a roster projection yet. Maybe we'll do it in a week or so. Just an early look at our early dart throws, you know, just in terms of 53. Our first look at 53. It's Tui Pelotu, man. Cosell told us last year. His tape. He showed some. Now he's not a sack guy, but he shows some good pressures.
He's a good pocket pusher. Is the way you
there you go.
it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's interesting. So that's that is it. We've covered about 70 players, folks. I don't know.
It is. So there's only 2 more practices between now and our next podcast. So our next podcast will feature heavily on what happens then, and then anything we're hearing about moves being made and more potential 53 stuff. So we did it. We just emptied the notebook there. That was our mid-camp progress report, and I don't think it could have been any meatier or beefier. With notes.
I'm out of energy.
Yeah, we just emptied it all there. So look forward to doing that again in a couple of weeks.
It was a good one, man.
Camp was at the end. Yeah. So that's going to do it for this edition of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Just proved it again. Big thanks to our producer, Tyler Strasser, doing a great job. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.